Hello, this video is part of a free video series, which is my Blazor examples course, which has now been re-released for you to watch for free and to anyone, for anyone to enjoy it for free. Now, Blazor examples, we have free examples, therefore we have free videos. In one of them, we will take a look at a basic setup of a sort of privacy consent pop-up. Then the other one will be a look at a sort of a library, Blazor library, existing one. We will take a look at the code, we will take a look at how one gets published, and then we will take a look at a third example. Now, all three will contain somewhat different parts of Blazor, where we will explore proper implementations of everything. We will explore different styles, and I think that is a very good way to gain some quick experience with Blazor. And with that said, let's jump into that. Hello, in this lecture we will start doing some bit of development. This is all on the go, okay, and what I have so far is a Blazor project, okay. It's called Blazor Products. Now, I do want to show you a bit of an API interaction. We won't be inserting it into the database, nothing fancy like that, just the product list going up to the database, or rather to the API, okay? So we need an API project, okay? So right click on the solution, go to add, new project, okay? And then we will pick this one. And we go in, and I will call it API products. Why not? Okay, and then do create, just like that. And then we have all these different products. If you don't know, for an API, you choose API. Web applications, if you are using sort of regular applications, not Blazor. Blazor is a different kind of project. Okay, so we have that, we have Blazor products and API products, right? So first of all, what I will show you is how to clean up these templates. You may have already seen this kind of a thing if you've seen my Blazor course, but it doesn't hurt to repeat those things, okay? And we can start with the API actually. There's something to clean up as well. First of all, the controllers, we need to delete this controller right here. We don't need that. We don't need the weather forecast. That's not what we are doing. Okay, so we deleted all that nonsense, and we are left with a beautiful empty API project. Now the next thing, okay, the Blazor, the interesting part. First of all, we can get into deleting sample data. Okay, delete all that. You need to confirm it, which is a great safety feature, right? You don't want to delete something by accident. And then we can delete this error thing. Okay, we can do that. There's no point in having it. Okay, there's no point at all. And then we can go into pages. Now, usually what I like to do is first of all remove the files and then get into the code, but I went into the index first in this case. Okay, so delete that. Okay, actually we'll delete more. Delete that, then nav menu, survey prompt. Okay, delete all that stuff. Like that, selected items will be permanently deleted, and that is what we need, what we're looking for. Then we can go into index, like that, the index, remove all of it. Then main layout, okay, main layout. There's a bit of a trick in here. You do need to leave the div. That's a good idea. So I deleted that bottom part, and then I'll go and delete it like that. I'll delete it, and then I'll put in this little guy right here, and then it's complete. This is the body, and this is the index dot razor. Okay, index dot razor. Now, I'm not getting into any Blazor specific code right now in this part in this lecture. Okay, I'm going to turn that off. What we need to do first is we need to establish a model for the product. Okay, the product has a model, some kind of a model a product must have. So let's see now. We can start it with the API. We could create a library and kind of share the same library between those two projects, but we are using JSON. We are not using binary serialization, which would actually require us to do that. Otherwise it would not work. But with simple JSON sending back and forth, that's all quite fine wherever you put these classes for models. Okay, so let's do it in the API, and then we'll do it a bit differently. I'll change a few things in, or maybe one thing in the client side, the Blazor part. Okay, so let's add class, and we can call the class product model. Okay, so the class is called product model. And we can think of a few things that will get into that, okay? So what we need first is an ID, okay? ID we definitely need, okay? And that we'll do as string, and why not? Okay, ID get set. Okay, get set, which is a sort of general model, nothing really fancy about it. Okay, we can do a couple more. Let's do title, okay, and let's do a description. Okay, description, let's make it a bit more complicated. Okay, now we can, I'll actually copy down. Okay, and now we need something else. And what we need is pricing stuff. Okay, the pricing, we need the pricing. So now let's do double. We have to work on doubles or decimals for now. Usually when you do Stripe, for example, integration, you will need to change your monetary values into an integer. So basically either multiply to go to an integer by 100 to get those cents, okay, value in cents, or divided by 100. So we have double, okay, and let's say it's price. Okay, the first one is price, and then we need maybe tax. Okay, we need a tax. Now tax would be, say, VAT, so that's going to be a percentage on that original price. Okay, it's a sort of original net price. And let's do tax. We can leave tax as double. It will be easier, less converting and all that stuff. So we have the sort of base price, and then we have that sales tax. Actually, I can call it sales tax. It will be maybe easier to understand it. Okay, so at this point, the total would be price plus the amount of sales tax. This is in percentage. Okay, we can add a little comment. Sales tax in percentage. Okay, it's not dollars, it's not euros, it's not pounds, it's percents. Okay, that's what we have as the sales tax, just to remember. Okay, now another thing, we can add a discount. Let's make it a sort of a little bit more fun. Okay, let's do that. So discount, okay. And let's do that, and then we can do finally the total. So the total, I don't need to write another thing to calculate it. I can do it a bit more dynamically. Let's do a little lambda expression like that. Okay. And then we need to make the calculation, right? So we have price, but now I think it will be a bit of a nonsense because the discount may be 0. Okay, the discount may be 0. So what we need to do, we can actually do it like that, I believe. Okay, this is the thinking process. It is quite complicated, as you see. It's quite real world, which you're watching. So price. First of all, we need to calculate the price with the discount, if such would exist. Okay, So actually, I'll do it like this. Minus, okay, just so it reads a bit better. Price multiplied by discount. Okay, price multiplied by discount. But again, I do believe there is a bit of a problem here. We have price minus price multiplied by discount, which is a percentage. Okay, so if it is a percentage, we need to get the decimal value like that, divided by 100. Okay, divided by 100. The problem, however, again, I think the problem is that discount can be 0. And what will happen is 0 will be divided by 100 will be 0, and it multiplied by price, then it will be 0, price minus 0. That seems to be good. Seems to be quite all right. Okay, so if it is indeed all right, we can kind of wrap this. Okay, so this is our price. Our price. Since we are doing it in a sort of dynamic way, I'll have to make a bit of a nasty thing here. Okay, I'll do it like that. Copy it. Okay, copy it. And then this will be the sales tax. Okay, sales tax multiplied by sales tax like that, divided by 100. Okay, it doesn't look very pretty. This could be a variable, but I do believe this will be a bit easier to read in a sort of proper little line. And I do want to kind of show you that you can do these lambda expressions and avoid using or building another method in the actual interface or somewhere else. It's a bit more cleaner, I would say. Okay, so we have that multiplied by sales tax and added. We don't need to wrap it because this is a multiplication, this is addition, so nothing needs to be wrapped, I do believe. And this seems to be good to go. Okay, this seems to be good to go. Okay, now we can actually add just another little thing in the bottom. And that is quantity, okay, quantity of a product. We can do integer in this case, why not? Okay, we can do integer, and that would be Q and T maybe, okay, quantity. Let's make it more simple. And that's it. We have our model. We have our model. We have ID, title, description, price, sales tax, discount. Now, we have been at it for quite some time in this lecture, so I will stop it right here. In the client side, the model will be a bit different, and that is what we will set in the next lecture. Now, with all that said, we will conclude this lecture. Hello again. Excuse the quick interruption, but if you are enjoying this, I would suggest you take a look at my Blazor course, as well as my Stripe implementation in Blazor course. Those two courses will get you started with Blazor, as well as payments with Blazor. Also, if you don't know how to develop a backend for your Blazor client, take a look at my API development course. You will learn how to develop .NET 5, .NET Core, APIs very quickly, very efficiently, with no big struggle. And now, back to the course. Hello, previously we did a model in the API part. I've explained a few things, a few calculations, but now we will do the model in the client side, okay? So let's see what we have here. This is productModel.cs in the API part, so we need to create the same exact class and then just copy the data. Okay, copy the data. Let's do Blazor products right here. New item, we can just do class, okay, very simply like that. product model. Okay, class, that's what we need. We need to copy all this stuff just like that. So we will now do a sort of initial version of this. As you can see, it's the same thing, and then we will do maybe some little improvement on top of that, and I would say we can do several different arrangements here, but I'll just start doing it all on the index.razor. Okay, we don't need to create other pages. I don't believe it's interesting to see how we can navigate through pages. We all know that. So let's just do it all in the index.razor right here. Okay, but what we do need is probably some kind of a component, okay, component for a new product, okay, and then for product list, because we will want to create a list which will be sort of removable. Okay, let's do that. Let's do in the pages. Okay, we can do a new folder, make it a little bit more reasonable and readable. Let's call it product components. Okay, so now then add Razor component we can do right away, and first of all will be new product. Since it is in the components folder, I don't really need to write the word component anymore. It's quite obvious what it is, and it will just take more space. Let's do new product. Okay, new product.razor. Okay, and another one we need, which is let's say preview product. Okay, preview product.razor add, just like that. Okay, we have that. Let's start with a new product. What we need to put in here. Okay, let's just do a simple arrangement of actually let's do a little div just in case it looks messy. Okay, and then we could maybe add some properties to the div style properties. Okay, so now we need to basically arrange all that stuff from the model into this component. Okay, so we need ID. Now the improvement I was talking about will be generating a sort of unique ID rather than just inserting your own. For now it will be inserting your own. Okay, so let's do that. Let's do input. Okay, input. And actually what I need to do first is do product ID. Okay, so now we know what needs to be inserted, and we can actually copy down some of these, I think. Okay, we'll see if it was worth time, if was time saved. We have title, we have description, okay, and then we'll get to price. Like that. You see I'm saving time, I'm not typing, I'm just copying, and that makes it hopefully a bit more accurate. Okay, description, like that, and then we get into prices. Prices would be input as well, I think. Right, we have price, sales tax, discount, and quantity. So what? That's 4, I believe. 3 more, maybe. Okay, like that. Now I'm getting back here. I'm copying price. See, it saves a bit of time. I'm going to zoom in a bit. We have price. We have sales tax. Right, like that. We have a discount. Discount we need. Okay. And let's get the discount. Okay, and then finally we get the quantity. Okay, we can actually do quantity or amount You see, I have this actually tool inserted, an add-in, I believe it's called, in Visual Studio. So QNT is not exactly a word, so it gives me a suggestion. It's a spell check basically, but it's for Visual Studio, and it works quite well. When you do a real-world project with a proper user interface, you do need something like that. It's very easy to misspell stuff in the code, so just get it and use it, and it will be a great addition to your project. Okay, so that's an input as well, and then finally we can do total. I could have copied this, but I just typed it in. Okay, and this is where the total will be displayed. That's a preview, okay, of the total. And then finally we need a little button. Hello again, and excuse the interruption once again, but I do have a suggestion for you. If you want to improve your C# skills, if you want to learn something more advanced, why don't you take a look at my TCP, UDP and WebSockets course. In there, you will learn how to handle TCP, UDP and WebSockets in a very practical way. There's no drawings, no nothing like that, no theory. We're just looking at the client-side implementation and the server-side implementation of all these different sockets. It doesn't cost a lot, it won't take too much time, and you will have an advanced skill in your bag. And with that, let's get back to the course. Okay, to submit, or to add rather, in this case we just add. So this is just adding to the list. We will need a callback, we will need all those different things, but this is what happens basically. Okay, we add to the list. Okay, so now we need to establish a little variable. Okay, see, product model, so new product, like that, equals new and all that stuff. We construct it right away because we will bind it directly to this product. Okay, so we get an error. What's the error? New product member names cannot be the same as their enclosing type. Okay, we have a little strange error. Now the problem with this error is that we have new product and new product.razor, which is kind of a class, and this is a class. It's the same name. So let's do model. Okay, that got me a bit lost, but that's all fine. Okay, not a huge issue right here. And then we have input. Okay, input for the product ID. So we can bind it. Like that. That would be new product model. We have to use that new product model, and then we have ID. Okay, I will actually copy this and paste it in this and in this. Okay, and I can also do that in quantity. I probably don't want to do that in price, sales tax and discount because it needs to be more dynamic. I hope and I believe I can make that happen. Okay, so let's do a title. You see, it saves time. It saves a lot of time. You don't want to type everything. That's annoying. Okay, and then we have a Q&T, quantity. Okay, we have that. That's great. New product. Okay, so now we will do it bind. Okay, bind value, all that stuff. And then let's do bind value event. Okay, on input. On input. We do on input. We can actually copy this and we will change that and that. Will be great. Okay, we have, say, price. Okay, price, like that. And then we need to actually just copy this stuff down here and down here. We have it. And this one will be sales tax, and this will be discount. And that's it. We have it almost all. And we need to display the total. That's new product model right here, and that is the total. Just like that. It is sort of ready, almost ready. Okay. We do need to set up the callback. We do need that. And let's do parameter public. Okay. See, event callback. And what do we return? We respond with the product model. That's what we need. Okay. On add, let's do. Okay, that's it. That's what we need. That's what we have. So now we have on add. On add, we don't have anything on the button. We will finish with this product setup, and we will finish with a lecture. Okay, we'll get into the other stuff on the other lectures. Okay, this will be kind of done. This new product.razor. Okay, let's see. Let's see what we can do. Not plus equals and that. Okay, and then let's do on add. Invoke a sync. I do actually need a sync and await. Okay, and that will be new product model. Like that. It does need to be a sync, and we need to await. Okay, so we have sent it. We've done all that stuff, and now it will be sort of a matter of regenerating this component, or maybe resetting this value. Okay, so we can either refresh the component completely, which is possible, right? But in this case, I think I'll just do new product model. Okay, and why not? Why not? Okay, we can just do like this. Actually, we can do in the same little line, not to take too much space, right? And that's new product model. That's what we need, and that's new, and then we construct it, and we are done. Okay, so it invokes, it sends that piece of data, and then it's reset for another product to be inserted. So this is the second part of it, and in the next part we'll do the preview. We'll actually set it up in the index.razor, and we will run the code. We'll see if it works. If it doesn't work, we'll kind of tackle the issues right here. I do believe it should work quite perfectly, but we will see. And with that said, we will conclude this lecture. Hello again. Excuse the quick interruption, but if you are enjoying this, I would suggest you take a look at my Blazor course, as well as my Stripe implementation in Blazor course. Those two courses will get you started with Blazor, as well as payments with Blazor. Also, if you don't know how to develop a backend for your Blazor client, take a look at my API development course. You will learn how to develop .NET 5, .NET Core, APIs very quickly, very efficiently, with no big struggle. And now, back to the course. Hello, as I mentioned in the previous lecture, we will now try to implement this piece of the whole arrangement. Obviously, this is not going to be the final implementation, but at some point you do have to check if it all works. You can keep on writing and writing the code, but you do have to run it at some point and just see if it runs, if it's somewhat functional, right? So let's see if we can do sort of a quick implementation, right? Okay, so let's do that, and we're now in the index.razor, and I will put in the component, okay, new product component, like that. I'm not putting anything in, but I do want to save some space, inline space, okay, like that. So the next step, okay, that would be to add code. Okay, we need to add code. We need to create a list. So we are creating a list, and remember, in the end, we are submitting the list of products. It's not going to be one single product. It's going to be the list of them. Okay, so and it is important to kind of create something. Okay, let's do list. Just a simple list. We don't need anything more than that. Okay, we will be providing those items into the next component, and that's how we will see the results. So let's do that. And that is new product. That's not new product, that is product model that we have. Okay, let's do products. This one would be more appropriate, I believe. Okay, and then we need a new list. That we need to have it already constructed. Okay, we need it already constructed because we will be using add. Okay, we won't be constructing, we will be using add. Okay, so let's do async, or rather just async we can, or task. Okay, and then let's do task, and then let's say add product. Okay, add product, like that. I'm going to copy that, maybe it will be quicker to save time. Again, save time and time, like that. We have new product, and then products, the list right here, add, like that. Okay, we need to add it, product, to the list. Okay, so we sort of have it. Okay, we need to just finish the task. Task, completed task, that's it. We could have done it in line quite properly, I believe. Okay, so let's see if we can just add that, and you'll basically be able to see the difference. Okay, so let's do async, await, and then we will do add product, our new method. Now we do need the argument. Let's do arg, not args, because it's kind of one argument that we have. Okay, obviously it does have properties, but it's one argument, so it would be more appropriate to do arg. It's more readable that way, I believe. Okay, again, these things depend on your preferences, on your colleagues' preferences. Really, it doesn't matter too much, but at this point we have the ability to add these products. Okay, we have the ability to add the products to the list. Now we can't really check anything here. Okay, we can't really check anything, so we will have to complete the preview product. Okay, let's go into that preview product.razor, the next component, which gives us all those great previews of the product. We also later add a delete function or remove function, which will obviously allow us to remove the product from the list before submitting. We won't be doing modification, okay, but just removal and add remove stuff. Okay, so let's do that. Now what we need here is somewhat similar to what we had in the new product. Okay, so I will attempt to save a bit of time. Let's see how it goes. I have this whole div right here. Okay, I have it. I will paste it, and you may think this is complete nonsense, but let's see. I will just do this, okay, like that. And actually, I started doing this to save a bit of time, okay? And I deleted a couple of them. And now I think there is a quicker way, a more efficient way to save a bit more time. Obviously now I'm talking about it and it is a bit of a waste of time, but let's see if I can do it more efficiently. Okay, let's see if I can maybe do that in that sort of a way. We do not need the button. Let's delete that. Okay, let's delete that, but we do need that model thing. Okay, so let's see. We had it in new product, like that. Okay, new product model. I'm going to copy this. Right, the name might be a problem. The name might be a problem here, but it is quite possible. We do need this one as a parameter. Okay, let's see if we can do that. We can't do that like that, but let's just wait a bit. Okay, let's do parameter. Let's do it properly somewhat. So, like that. It needs to be public. Okay, we have product model, and then we can do get and set. Now remember, parameters, they have to be public. So you start with parameter, then public, then this arrangement, right? The name and the type, and then you have get set. Those three things, get set, public, and the parameter, are crucial for it to actually be a parameter, not just some simple variable, which won't be a parameter. Okay, so this is a parameter, and we will provide it in a loop. We will do a little loop, and that's how we will kind of take care of it. Hello again, and excuse the interruption once again, but I do have a suggestion for you. If you want to improve your C# skills, if you want to learn something more advanced, why don't you take a look at my TCP, UDP, and WebSockets course. In there, you will learn how to handle TCP, UDP, and WebSockets in a very practical way. There's no drawings, nothing like that, no theory. We're just looking at the client-side implementation and the server-side implementation of all these different sockets. It doesn't cost a lot, it won't take too much time, and you will have an advanced skill in your bag. And with that, let's get back to the course. Now, these are in the inputs and in the bindings, but I would try to, as I mentioned before, save some time and do it like this. Okay, so I delete it like that, and then like that, and I have it in my paragraph, and it seems to be working rather well. Okay, let's start from this end. It's a bit better, I think. Okay, so we have one like that. Delete it. You see, it works perfectly, absolutely perfect, right? I'm saving so much time. And when you do programming, especially when you do something on your own, you really have to look for these opportunities to save time. Otherwise, you will do it for a very, very long time, and your client will be disappointed, and you may run out of time on your own, and you won't finish your product. You won't even get a sort of simple beta release. And this kind of an arrangement, we don't have too much going on. Obviously, there's no design going on, but in terms of the code itself, the name maybe doesn't match, but usually you just want to get to the beta as soon as possible. Obviously, if you have requirements, you can't just avoid them. But in some simple cases, just to save time, you really have to explore some of these options. Sometimes they don't work out, but if you don't try, you will never save time. Okay, just do it, try it, it will usually work out, right? So we have all these different things added in the preview product component, and let's do a little for loop. For each, let's do actually, will be better. I believe at this point it will be better. Sometimes you can get into a bit of a problem if you need an index. You can't really get an index from for each, so then you have to switch it to the for. But again, it depends on a specific case. We have that added. Now we just have to displayed somehow. Okay, let's do preview. Let's see if we can actually find it. We can, like that. Let's do so that we can see it properly. Okay, and then we have new product, like that, and that's going to be the item. The item which you can't see, but now you can see it. Item, new product, item. And I do believe it's time for a little launch. Let's do that. Let's see how it works out. If it doesn't work, we'll get back to it. There's no problem with it. But as I mentioned before in the beginning of the lecture, at some point you really have to just run the code and see what's going on. And it might be quicker, even if a code doesn't work, even if you know that the code doesn't work, it's sometimes better to just kind of run it and do it that way. Test ID, let's do test, doesn't matter. Let's see if price thing works. Now we have, let's say 55, so 5, okay, we have total, right, 57. Actually, let's do that as 0. Okay, so 55, that's all good. Let's try discount. Let's say 50%, why not? Okay, 27.5 seems to be fine. Okay, like that. And then sales tax, let's say 20%. Okay, we have 33, seems to be working. Everything seems to be working, so let's do add. And the product sort of has been added in my opinion, but and everything has been reset. However, I don't really see the details. Okay, I don't really see the details. Now you may have already noticed the error, right? You may have already noticed, and now I'm going to look for the error and you'll be laughing at me. But that's just the way it works. These lectures are meant for you to see some real world work with Blazor, right? So let's see. First of all, what you want to do when it comes to errors, you want to check the developer tools, like that. This is in Chrome. In other browsers you'll find in different places, but obviously we don't have any issue here. Okay, and we are running quite a bit on time here in this lecture. So just to recap what we have here, we can add a product, it seems, right? We can add a product. It will reset. It will be displayed, but the data for it won't necessarily be displayed as I can see it. Although I'm wrong, actually. I am wrong. I am quite wrong. You can see that it is indeed displayed. So I've been talking nonsense for the past couple of minutes. Everything seems to be working. There is a little issue with this quotation mark right here. Probably I missed when I deleted it, and right here as well. But everything seems to be working. We have the record inserted in the list and then displayed as the preview. Now in the next lecture we will take a look at some additions, some improvements to this whole application, the removal of things and the generating of ID, and then we'll get into the APIs. Now with all that said, we will conclude this lecture. Hello again. Excuse the quick interruption, but if you are enjoying this, I would suggest you take a look at my Blazor course, as well as my Stripe implementation in Blazor course. Those two courses will get you started with Blazor, as well as payments with Blazor. Also, if you don't know how to develop a backend for your Blazor client, take a look at my API development course. You will learn how to develop .NET 5, .NET Core, APIs very quickly, very efficiently, with no big struggle. And now, back to the course. Hello! In the previous lectures we have already done the setting up of the product component where we add new data and then we created the list and then we also created the preview product. So there are basically two things missing. We cannot still generate the ID. Okay, that is still missing, generating an ID. And then we still can't remove the product. So that's what we will take care of in this lecture. Now let's begin with the removal. Okay, let's begin with the removal. So we have now right here in the index.razor, the main thing, we need to create another task. And again, I will be Scrooge on time and I'm going to copy that and paste it. And why not? I don't have to rewrite the task, I don't have to write these braces and all these different things and return. I also don't have to rewrite. Everything's perfect, right? So now what the callback will return is actually product model as well. Okay, it will be product model because we will still need to find the product either by index or by something else, so it's kind of pointless to just return the ID. There's no point. Okay, so let's do actually like that. Remove product. Okay, remove product, and that's almost it. We just have to do remove, and this part of it is done. We also need a callback. Okay, another callback. So let's do preview product right here. Now in terms of callbacks and normal parameters, I don't really know which one you're supposed to keep above which. The standard obviously hasn't been set yet. It's too early for those things, but I would advise you to obviously always keep the parameters on top in the code section. Everything else goes below that. Simple basic variables go below them. But also, if you have parameter, then you have callback. You should do it like that. You shouldn't have parameter, then callback, then parameter, then callback, then parameter. Don't make a mess of things. Do parameter, 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 and then callback, callback, callback. Have some clean, simple arrangements so that it's somewhat easy to read. Because when you get into very complicated pages, very complicated components, this code can get messy quite easily, and it will be so difficult to read. It will be truly terrifyingly difficult, so you do have to be careful. You do have to be careful. This might be Blazor, and Blazor is cleaner than maybe proper regular JavaScript and things like that, but it still is the front end, a page, some kind of a view, and those generally do get quite messy, so do be careful. But let's just do the parameter callback. Okay, so public callback, and then callback we need. Okay, and then product model, that will be this one right here. Okay, let's do on remove. On remove, set like that. We are good to go. On remove. So this one will occur when the button, the specific button, is clicked. Now I did delete the add button when I copied this. I shouldn't have done that. I would have saved time again. Saving time is extremely important. Okay, now let's do on click like that. And like that. You see, it's a bit annoying writing this stuff. It kind of jumps out of that proper focus, so to speak. But there's nothing you can really do about it. Okay, so let's do on remove, invoke async, and we provide the new product model. Okay, just like that we provide it, and it should be working. Should be working quite perfectly. Okay, so we have that, and we don't have implemented it yet, so let's do the implementation. On remove, that would be remove product, like that. we could in theory just do remove product with no lambda expression and nothing else complicated, but it doesn't always work out, so let's be safe and let's do this. Okay, so remove product, and then again let's do arg and arg and arg. Okay, like that. So we have it, right? And before we test it, we can actually do the next thing in the new product.razor now. In the new product.razor, we need to generate an ID. Hello again. I do hope you're enjoying this, and if you still need some more skills with Blazor, I would suggest my Blazor course, where you will go from A to Z with Blazor, everything from components, basic syntax, to handling WebSockets in Blazor, and much, much more. Also on Confusion Solution Learning platform, you will be able to submit your assignments for my review. So it's not only seeing the task and the solution, but it's also submitting it for my review. I take a look at your code, I take a look at your solution, and I give you some tips and advice and all that stuff for your code, inside your code and outside your code as well. Do take a look at that, and now back to the course. So that will be GUID, new GUID. Let's just do another paragraph, then another button. Okay, and let's call it generate ID. Okay, like that. On click. Now, there is one thing I do want to say. Normally, when you create these products, the ID should be unique in the database. So if you had such real-world application, maybe you would want to create a sort of temporary product in the database and retrieve the ID, the generated ID, from the database directly. Basically, get it from the database and then identify the product when you're actually inserting into the database. But again, in this case, we are not talking about databases. We won't be inserting, updating anything, so it really doesn't matter. This is all about Blazor and a quick interaction within API. So let's move on. And let's do just something very, very simple like that. Keeps on wanting to do the plus. Okay, I just click the shift. Too early. We don't need an await. We actually don't need anything. We won't be having a an actual method here. This is sort of quick arrangement. Okay, and then we have GUID, and then you need new GUID. So you don't construct. You see, you don't construct this GUID class. You don't construct it. You just do new GUID. And this is generated, and then you need to convert it to string, okay, to string, or you can get a byte array. It's sort of an interesting kind of a thing, right? We have that, and it seems to be, should be working rather. I'm not sure if it's working. We are launching now, and we will take a look. And unfortunately, it won't even launch. Right, what's the problem? Okay, a minor one. We were missing a semicolon here, so it's not a real issue. Right, let's see. Now it's running properly, hopefully, right? Okay, let's generate an ID. Yes, perfect. Perfect GUID. Let's do test. Let's do price 55, quantity 5. It could be 0. We aren't checking for that. It could quite easily be 0. Obviously, it doesn't look very pretty, this arrangement. Okay, generate another one. Let's do test 2, test. Let's do 55. Now, you may have noticed I'm entering really quite nonsense values here. But that, again, it saves time. Now, I've worked with people who would enter some proper name, say apples, and then they would write green apples in the description, and then they would add proper price. But that takes so much time, and basically what you want to do is insert some values, click on it, and see if it works. If it fails, it fails. It doesn't matter if it's apples or if it's just punching your keyboard and having some random letters in. It's a lot quicker, so do be careful about that. If you don't need real values, don't enter real values. Just punch your keyboard, get some letters in, get some numbers in, and you're good to go. Okay, so let's do add. Okay, we have two products now. So let's remove this one with EECB. EECB. Okay, that's the ID that should be removed. Let's see now. Yes, we are left with A505. So it was removed quite perfectly, and it actually worked. You see, from the first attempt, it worked perfectly. Now we can generate the ID. You saw how easy that was. You see, we can get back to it just quickly. Now I could have wrote a method, another method, and made it complicated. And obviously, if you do need to really work with databases, maybe that's what you would want to do. You will want to kind of create an empty product so you can get that unique ID. And then once you insert that bulk of products, you then update the record instead of inserting a new record, okay? But again, just for such simple generation, you don't need much. Simply assign to the already existing binding, and that's it. You're good to go. And removal and adding, again, it's all about working with callbacks and kind of relying on that list. Okay, so we basically for everything rely on this list products. Okay, this is the backbone of our application. It may not seem like a lot, but this is the most important piece of this application. Okay, now in the next lecture we will take a look at sending it to the API, preparing the API for that as well. And with all that said, we will conclude this lecture. Hello again, and excuse the interruption once again, but I do have a suggestion for you. If you want to improve your C# skills, if you want to learn something more advanced, why don't you take a look at my TCP, UDP and WebSockets course. In there, you will learn how to handle TCP, UDP and WebSockets in a very practical way. There's no drawings, no nothing like that, no theory. We're just looking at the client-side implementation and the server-side implementation of all these different sockets. It doesn't cost a lot, it won't take too much time, and you will have an advanced skill in your bag. And with that, let's get back to the course. Hello. At this point, we have everything prepared for putting it into the API. I'm not going to say database, we aren't doing databases, but we are doing API. Okay, and in the first lecture, I did mention that the product model in the API and Blazor parts will not match. Now, it did change quite a bit and it will now match. We don't need to add anything in addition. We did it in a different way. Okay, so it will now match. It's all the same. Okay, so we need a controller. We need a controller in the API, like that. We do add. Okay, we do add, new item, couple of controller options we have. Just go with a empty. Okay, and let's call it not home, let's do main controller. Okay, doesn't really matter what we call it. Okay, and then we need some kind of a little method here. Okay, let's do public task. And now what do we return? What do we want to sort of return? Remember with Blazor, when you use get from JSON, you need to kind of do JSON return so that it would be JSON type. Okay, so let's do that. But what we will do, we will probably just do some numbers. Okay, we do JSON result, it's called. Okay, and let's do submit product, like that. Okay, submit product. We will just add a breakpoint and we will see if it works. Nothing fancy here, okay, just a little thing here. Okay, we have that. And then let's do return, let's say 1, and we need JSON, like that. So it's the same string, it's the same simple string, but this allows us to do JSON, okay? Return JSON, JSON. We have a little problem here. It would be JSON like that, I believe. Maybe not. Let's do JSON if I can catch it. JSON result. Right, we do have a bit of a problem since this is not asynchronous. That's the problem. Okay, again, this is all on the go, so there are issues and mistakes, but this one is quite simple to amend, right? We just have that and that's it. Let's do now from body. Okay, from body, and that will be, say, product. Actually, it should be product model, like that, and let's call it product. Okay, so we will put a breakpoint right here. We will stop it and we will take a look. If it is filled, if it is full, then it's all great and good. And another mistake I made, we are publishing the whole list. Okay, so it's a whole list that needs to go in. Okay. Now then, let's do a little route, like that. Okay, submit product. Okay, so we have a route, we have action task method, right, with a JSON return. We have all that, we have product, which we aren't using. And we can now set up the Blazor part. And this is sort of the interesting part, the part that I want to sort of highlight. Okay, now I'm going to go into program.cs for the Blazor part. Okay, and this is where I will construct the sort of global HTTP client. Okay, I'll call it, let's say, client, new HTTP client, like that. And I'll need a base address. Now remember, these are two different projects. The API runs on one domain, on one local host, and the Blazor on the other one. Okay, so it's different. This will be URI, okay, like that, and like that. Okay, we have it all. Now we need that local host address, and we would do in the API products, properties, right here, and then debug. This is API products. When you do something like this, do be careful from which debug you copy it. Blazor part will also have that, so be careful about it. Okay, so we have this right here, copy, just like that, and then we can go back to program.cs and insert it right here. So we have it all set up. Okay, we have this global. Now to the global you can assign default headers, and mainly that would be authentication header, authentication token. That's why it's very useful. You just do it throughout and you don't have to rewrite it, re-add it on every component and every page. Okay, so now let's go to index.razor. Okay, index.razor. Let's try and do a little submit button. Actually, let's try to do it on top. It will be maybe easier to find. Let's do button, submit. Okay, let's do submit all. Right, and then we need a little variable that would submit it. Actually, I can do it in line. I can do it in line quite easily because we won't be assigning the return. We're just gonna get it and that's it. Let's do on click. on click, async, await. That's very important in this case, okay? And then from program.cs, let's see, we need to do it public and static. Public and static it needs to be, otherwise there's no issue, okay? Let's do program.cs, then client, okay, then get from JSON async. Get from JSON async, and that would be a problem as well. We need to post it. We need to post it. There is a body, so we post as JSON. This will be a bit more sort of complicated. Hello again. I do hope you're enjoying this, and if you still need some more skills with Blazor, I would suggest my Blazor course, where you will go from A to Z with Blazor, everything from components, basic syntax, to handling WebSockets in Blazor, and much, much more. Also on Confucian Solution Learning Platform, you will be able to submit your assignments for my review. So it's not only seeing the task and the solution, but it's also submitting it for my review. I take a look at your code, I take a look at your solution, and I give you some tips and advice and all that stuff for your code, inside your code and outside your code as well. Do take a look at that, and now back to the course. Okay. If you haven't seen it, maybe you've only seen the sort of previous implementations of these post as JSON or get as JSON. It was a bit different in the past. Now it's sort of more reliable. Okay, so we're just gonna do that. We won't get a return. It should work quite fine. Okay, let's do a route, and then the products. Okay, all of them like that. And when you get the route, you want to go and double check in the controller. Just copy it directly from the controller. It will be easier that way. Okay, we have submit all, and it should be good to go. Now this returns HTTP response message, if you didn't know. So you take that message, or you just wrap it, and then you could get you could read as JSON. The response could be read as JSON, or it could be read as string, and then you can also check the statuses and all these different things. So let's launch it. We start with launching the Blazor product, so that's the Blazor part of this whole arrangement. We start with launching that. Okay, now that's launched. Okay, now we can do the API. So the API, you go on that, you right click, and then you go to debug, and then start new instance. That's how you start it all. Let's hope that it works. And it didn't, as it sometimes happens, unfortunately. We will actually need to relaunch this. We see if the API works now. We don't need to restore the pages. The API seems to be running, I believe. Okay, that seems to be running still, and we have this now. So we have submit all, but first we need to generate. Let's do that. Let's do that. Okay, add. Now let's add another one. Let's just see if it works. Again, I'm just putting nonsense values, it doesn't matter. We want to see it filled, and we want to actually see all of these filled as well. So I'm going to insert some numbers. We don't have to do that, but it's good to do that. Okay, so I inserted that, and let's see, now it will jump into the debug, hopefully into the breakpoint. I don't quite see that happening. Let's see if we find an error in developer tools. This can be a bit of a tricky part. Okay, it failed to fetch, connection refused, so I don't believe the API is actually running. Okay, may not be running, so that's the problem. Let's try it again. Sometimes when you launch these two things at once, they will fail for some reason, but there's really nothing too much to worry about. Let's see. Now again, we have a problem. We have a problem, and the problem is the course policy. Okay, let's try to do a quick fix on it. Now then, we jumped a little bit and I've added the code that I usually use for this course problem, this cross-origin problem. It is very complicated, that's why I didn't go through it on the go, so to speak. As you can see, you can actually write this code down and copy it and use it on your own projects. It will save you some time. I always use the same thing, it always works. You don't really need to deal with these course things anyways. It's just a sort of thing that exists, right? And then we have services, add course, we have options, add default policy, build origin, lots of different things. So I've commented, if you're gonna download the code, I've commented all that. We have add course right here, this is the important piece, and then there's another important piece right here, use course. So you need those two things and it should now work. Let's see if it actually works. Okay, I've just added that and let's see, generate. Again, just put in some data, some things, and you should be good to go. Let's do another one. We need a couple. Actually, title could be numbers. Didn't have to delete that. Add. Okay. And then submit. All. Okay, there's a bit of an error, doesn't matter. Okay, so now we are at the breakpoint and we have 2 items indeed. They are not empty, they are full. You see, they have come through quite properly. Everything is proper and appropriate. Everything is working. So we've built quite a few things. We used components in a very dynamic way. We saved time, we saved space, we tried to make it beautiful, and I do believe it is quite readable. You have the code available for download. You can take a look at it, learn from it. Do take a look at that course thing. You may use it for your future projects. It's quite a useful piece of code, saves you a lot of time. And with all that said, we will conclude this lecture.